Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sandy Smith, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Captain Nick Tate. Today, we remember and pay tribute to Flight Lieutenant George William Saywell and warmly welcome his family who are in attendance and also watching the live stream of this ceremony. This evening, we warmly welcome, representing the Air Force Association, Lieutenant Richard Caesar Thwaites, retired. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you are able, I now invite you to please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Flight Lieutenant George William Saywell. George Saywell was born on the 9th of September 1919 in Longreach, Queensland, the eldest child of Norman Phillip and Alexina Maud Saywell. He had two younger sisters, Rebecca and Leah. After attending Anglican Church Grammar School in Brisbane, George returned home, where he worked on the land as a jackaroo and later as a station overseer. At some stage, he was living and working around Junda, southwest of Longreach. George enjoyed the social life, rode in horse race meetings, and was also a keen footballer. He was also said to be blessed to have a fine singing voice. Following the outbreak of the Second World War in September 1939, Saywell enrolled in the Royal Australian Air Force Reserve in October 1940. Next, he enlisted in the RAAF in Brisbane on the 6th of December 1941. Mustering as crew, aircraftsman George Saywell began his training with No. 3 Initial Training School at Sandgate in Brisbane. By the end of 1942, George had been promoted to leading aircraftsman and moved on to No. 5 Service Flying Training School at Narromine and later at Uranquinty. There he earned his flying badge in January 1943. During 1943, Saywell had a couple of stints at the Central Flying School in Tamworth, and by the end of the year, he had been promoted to Flight Sergeant. Early in 1944, George was commissioned as a pilot officer. By mid-year, he had become a flying instructor, earning further promotion in August to flying officer. At the end of the year, Saywell progressed to operational training units, first at East Sale, Victoria, and then Williamtown near Newcastle. In April 1945, Saywell was posted to No. 1 Squadron RAAF, assuming flying duties. There, at Kingroy, Queensland, he gained many hours of experience on a variety of aircraft, including Wirraways, Ansons, Beauforts, and Mosquitoes. The squadron relocated to Morotai Island in May 1945 and then to Labuan Island in July. Near war's end, George became engaged to a nurse. They planned to get married when he returned from active service. In October 1945, Saywell was posted to No. 3 Personnel Depot, then in mid-December to No. 2 Aircraft Depot. The new year 1946 brought further promotion to Flight Lieutenant. On the 19th of February, Saywell proceeded on escort duty to Japan with the Mosquito ferry flight. Departing Richmond Air Base with a Beaufighter, the two aircraft would escort 14 Mustang fighters to Japan to join No. 81 Fighter Wing based at Bofu, today's Hofu, on Honshu Island. They travelled north in stages to Cloncurry, Darwin, Morotai and Labuan Islands. After flying on to Clark Air Base in the Philippines, the flight endured a 10-day layover because of bad weather over the next stage, Okinawa Island in Japan. After eventually arriving in Okinawa, most bad weather meant further delays. Finally, they were cleared to fly onto Honshu, though things had not improved much, it seemed. Mosquito aircraft number A52.147 took off on the 18th of March. The flight now included 3 Beaufighters, the 14 Mustangs, and Saywell's Mosquito. Saywell was piloting the aircraft with Flying Officer James Nattrass as his navigator. The Mosquito was acting as an escort or guide aircraft. Flying conditions worsened as they approached their destination. Rain and low clouds set in. The flight, when last heard from, was crossing mountainous country some 60 kilometres from their destination. 4 Mustangs and the Mosquito failed to arrive at the destination. 2 of the Mustangs were located crashed on Cape Sedan. The other Mustang and the Mosquito were not seen again. Saywell and Natras's bodies were never found. They are therefore commemorated on the Labuan Memorial in Malaysia. George Saywell was 26 years old. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my left among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of George Saywell alongside his sister Leah is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. Leah turned 100 years old earlier this week and is watching the live stream of this ceremony from her home in Queensland. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Lieutenant George William Saywell, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.